ちゃいかん。ある程度火の勢いが収まらないと救助隊にとっても危ないんだ。
じゃあ俺らの友達はどうなるんだ。
何？
ふざけろ！現代からゆうや
くん。
So another really great episode of Cheat Skill Anime, and in this episode we had a moment with the water ball that really reminded me of Mushoku Tensei. And when Rudy is finally put up that water ball, that's the exact moment I got when Yuya and in fact Knight both put up their water ball this episode. So definitely that water ball moment was definitely one to really take notice of. And overall, really him just getting magic was one to take notice of. Now, during last week's episode, one of the things that I had mentioned about Yuya is his need to be careful about how much of the otherworldly power he shows in the real world. And I think this episode even exasperated that fact and even brought that fact up to the 90th degree, where yes, I understand the necessity and the need to want to save your friends, especially in these life or death situations. That's completely understandable. But when the fact is that he's pulling off these incredible feats that are subhuman, superhuman, unbelievable, he needs to be very careful when doing it. Yes, you can be super athletic. Yes, you can teeter-tot the boundaries of human comprehension, but once you teeter-tot too far beyond it, you got to be very careful so that you don't get noticed or get taken notice by people who want to use what you do the wrong way. Or especially you don't want to teeter-tot the other way to where like military or government or anything like that within Japan takes notice of him, like who is this guy pulling off these feats, whether it's in school, whether it's saving somebody from a burning building, whatever the case is. Eventually you're gonna stack up too much evidence against you, and you gotta be very, very careful with that. So I just wanted to throw that out there, that I mentioned it last week, but it kind of reared its head here again, especially with now his use of magic, that I think he's been so oblivious to life for so long because everybody treated him like he didn't exist, that he's not really sure of how to understand his existence now, when the opposite is true, when everybody's taking notice of him. He's tall, he's good looking, he commands a certain audience, he commands a certain presence, he commands a certain he commands attention by people now. So it's like even more eyeballs than the normal person are on you. So you got to be very careful about all the different things he's doing, and just think he's being a little willy-nilly about it. Now, this episode, one of the really cool things is we got to learn more about the sage. Now, originally, we were under the impression, or at least I was under the impression, that Grandpa at some point was traveling between these worlds as he was gaining artifacts, things like that. It seems to not be the case. It seems that Grandpa may have had some kind of artifact or something within his collection, but it seems that Grandpa never actually was the one that was traveling to and from. That was this sage person. Now, we don't know if this sage person was also ever traveled to Japan or what happened there, but it's said to believe that the sage was actually from the world where Yuya's visiting now, because that sage had mana pathways which are inherently native to those of that specific world. But it doesn't sound, based on what the king said, based on what we found out about the kingdom, and with Yuya's name being very similar, it doesn't sound like Japanese people in this world reincarnating Isekai, traveling in some way, shape, or form is out of the question. It seems that maybe other folks in the past throughout history have also come from Japan as well, and maybe that's where some of the roots come from in certain different ways and levels. It also seems like there's gods that exist and things like that as well. So it's very... We can probably put a pin in the fact that travel to and from has happened throughout the history of this other world. Are there people in Japan in this world? We don't quite know that, but those doors seemingly could be open as the anime begins to kind of take forward and stuff like that. Now, the reason I brought up the grandpa is that's out the question. So now we're moving on to the sage. So the sage was the person who set up the barrier, set up the house, and left a diary. The diary was like a living diary that had kind of like that had an existence within itself too. The diary was able, like the sage was able to communicate through the holder, this holder now being Yuya, through said book. And the sage kind of let us know everything that happened between him. He basically, he got so powerful that he had nobody around him. He got so powerful that he was feared. He got so powerful that he actually joined the realm of the gods at some point. He got an invitation from the gods. Now, his bones were of this world here where Yuya was, so we know that he died. So it's not like he ever ascended to be a god, but he got so powerful that he was able to ascend to that level. So now he left behind all this different knowledge for somebody to, basically he wants to live vicariously through somebody who can take everything that he learned with a life that has a lot of exuberance and a lot of capacity left, and do the things that he wasn't able to do, like find a life partner, find somebody to love, find people to trust, find those who won't be so scared of the powers that you wield. He also ended up giving him his mana pathways as well, which allows you to now be able to control and manipulate magic. Magic in this world tends to be a sense of one's imagination. So I thought that was a really cool thing too. It's essentially almost limitless based on your imagination. So if you can kind of imagine complexities or go into Japan and use science and different things like that, he can bring it over. Not necessarily bring it over, but he can kind of like base his magic off of those things, similar to what we've seen in a lot of other anime before. We also found out there's a group trip coming up in Japan, in the real world, and he's paired up with Kaide, Akira, who is the blonde prince guy, and Kanzaki, who's another new girl as well. They go backpack shopping, and during this backpack shopping thing, of course, there is a fire that breaks out. Not before Yuya can show off his magical skills and abilities and win them a bunch of prizes at the crane game. I actually thought that was really, really cute, so I really enjoyed that quite a bit. But there's a fire that breaks out, and of course, Yuya has to go and save all of them because the girls get trapped. Somehow, someway, everybody escapes but these three girls. They get trapped. They get locked under the smoke. They inhale it. They pass out. Yuya saves all three of them by conversing himself or like putting a shield of water around him to save them, which is a really cool moment. All really cool stuff. Just he needs to be more careful. Because right now, like, if I were, like, I don't know, just any normal person, I'd be like, that guy's not normal. There's something up there. Is this man Superman? What the hell's up with this guy? The last thing I'll say is I love how after the anime ends, I love how after the ED happens, that we always typically get an alternate world, like, cutscene. In this one, we find out there's a bunny deity of some sort, the bunny deity of kicks or something like that, who needs to pass on his power to somebody because he just got confronted by the deity of archery, who is some really evil-looking devil girl who wants to destroy the world, apparently. So, more to come from there. They basically have softball pitched to us at the fact that Yuya is going to meet this bunny in the forest at some point or something along those lines. So more to come there, but definitely an exciting and really good episode. Really enjoyed it overall. And I don't think that it's completely unbelievable with the magic. So I just think that he's being too nonchalant about it and still in that mentality that nobody sees him and doesn't exist, which is clearly not the case anymore. So what do you guys think about this episode? Down in the comments below. Let me know your guys' final thoughts on episode number 6. Episode 7 seems to be another good one. And it looks like we're going to be spending more time in this alternate world this time as opposed to Japan. And I also can't wait for him to meet the king, who definitely has a daughter complex. That's going to be exciting as well, too. So let me know what you guys thought in the comments below. And I'll see you guys next week for episode number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Peace.